Welcome back to Irreverend Faith and Current Affairs with me, Jamie Franklin, and my esteemed colleague, Daniel French this week. Daniel, how are you doing?
Well, I'm looking around the house wondering what I can burn,
Yeah.
what's flammable, what's going to go out. So I've just had our EDF new tariff, which is so exciting and very generous of them. I love the way that the email says you'll be pleased to know. And then doubles, I think, yeah, so it's 150% increase.
Yeah.
Lovely. Yeah, so it's whether it's eat or heat, I don't know, but see all these lovely books here. Maybe it's time to replenish my library and we could start heating ourselves on books. It's crazy, isn't it? It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah. And why is it happening, Daniel? Why? Because I've seen some people trying to blame Brexit, but it sort of seems to me like there might be some other reason for this.
And other countries who are going through the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. It might be the fact that we shut down the whole economy for 2 years and decided to print money. And then we decided to spend billions of pounds financing a war in Eastern Europe rather than encouraging the participants to seek some kind of peaceful resolution. These are the consequences, and it is terrible, obviously, for people like you, Daniel. You know, when your heating bill has gone up 150%. But really, the really important thing is that the poor and the elderly will suffer because of this, and in many cases, they will become unwell and they will die because they cannot afford to put their heating on. Now, the point of before I get on my high horse here, but the point is when you have governments in particular countries, they are supposed to safeguard the well-being of the people in their own country, and sending billions of pounds worth of weapons to Eastern Europe to fund a war with Russia in order to aid Ukraine, I'm afraid is not doing that. That is going to have a direct impact on the poor and the elderly in our nation. And in my view, it's a terrible thing for them to be doing.
Well, I think we're in that funny stage, aren't we? That if we could go back in time 2 years ago and describe where we are now and where we've been, we wouldn't believe it.
Yeah, I mean, it is quite unbelievable, isn't it? I mean, in all seriousness, Daniel, people should be angry about what's going on. This is I remember hearing a quote, or I think it was a tweet maybe from Liz Truss saying, increasing energy bills is a price we are willing to pay in order to defeat Putin. And I'm just thinking, is that right? Have you've decided that on behalf of the poor and the elderly in our nation, that they care so much about a war in Eastern Europe that they're willing to have to face a choice between heating their homes and paying for food? That's your decision, is it, Liz Truss, that they are that jingoistic and they care that much? I think it's utterly disgraceful attitude, and that these politicians need to have some kind of reality check. I think they've lost their minds, and they should be trying to find some kind of way of safeguarding people's energy bills in our nation, and are not doing what they're currently doing, because it's disgraceful.
And it's very difficult, isn't it? Particularly, I think, for let's say ordinary working class people who, as soon as they put their head above the parapet on this issue, will get knocked, say, by the environmentalist brigade, who will say, "Oh well, but think of the planet's future." And okay, I partly get that, but again, it's this rather macabre utilitarianism which says, you're actually collateral damage.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're expendable. Okay, if you're going to say that, oh well, you're just deplorable in saying that. You're petty-minded. You're not thinking about your children's future, and so on and so on. And it's very difficult for those who are really, really being knocked by this to have an appropriate voice. I can't think of any political party, movement or church that actually is speaking for this constituency at this time.
Yeah.
Because, they'll say, oh, well, we need to do this, we need to use less carbon, we need to be taxing our energy bills to, 25% for putting money in the future for renewables and so on, and then go off in a helicopter.
Oh yeah, it's disgraceful. It's absolutely disgraceful. I've got no time for it, Daniel. And the only thing I think is that I hope these rising energy bills will turn people against this insane green agenda, whereby we're paying all this extra money for this technology, which is pretty useless and doesn't work. Nobody wants it. We're supposed to have a conservative government. Why are they taxing us on energy? Why are they taxing us on petrol for this green agenda? As far as I know, I didn't vote for it. I don't think any other Tory voters actually voted for it, but we're getting taxed for it anyway. And it's making people so much poorer. I mean, to be honest, I haven't actually looked at our energy bill yet. I've seen that I've got it in, but it's basically taking people down the socioeconomic ladder, because we are now going to be in literally a lower economic class as individuals than we used to be, because we're going to be paying 2-3 grand a year extra on our energy bills.
But don't forget,
poorer as a country.
Don't forget, in the future, you will own nothing but be happy.
Yeah, well, exactly.
That's because
it will be cheaper.
I'd have burnt most of it to keep or be trying to, like Nebuchadnezzar, eating grass.
Down
to my last baked bean tin. But yeah, it's there's a real disparity, isn't there? And it's quite creepy the way that it's being cushioned. Yeah. I mean, I was talking to some millennial a few weeks ago who was tut-tutting when I said about the percentage of our energy bills. It is 25%, isn't it? That goes towards.
Not entirely sure. I'll look it up while we're talking.
So it goes towards the renewable tax. And they'll go, oh yes, but what about the, blah 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 blah. What about the future? I said, well, I'm paying £1,000 for this.
Yep.
And I don't see any solar panels on my roof.
Yeah.
I don't see any little wind turbines around here, or some nice hot air convection thing for the vicarage.
Yeah. It's 25%. Yeah.
It's £1,000.
Yeah.
That's a heck of a lot of money. And of course, this particular individual is living at home with parents, not paying any. They're able to, from the luxury of their phone, pontificate about.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine
without paying a single bill.
Yeah, it's fine when you don't have to pay it, isn't it? It's much worse when you actually do. Yeah, it is 25%, and I'm just thinking fuel tax is 52.95 per litre. So if I'm not mistaken, that means that your petrol would be 52.95p cheaper if we didn't have a green tax on it. So what is it at the moment? It's probably, I don't know, it's extortionate at the moment, isn't it? It's 188. So I mean, it's gone up a huge amount. It costs us over 100 quid to fill up our car, well over 100 quid. And it would be significantly cheaper if we didn't have this this tax on it. I just find it absolutely outrageous. I can't express how outrageous I find it, how irritated I am by it. I think it's completely unjust.
You can see how a sort of technocratic dystopian future can then push the idea of not owning anything. Like, oh well, Jamie, what you need to do is just live off Uber taxis. Or you can sort of rent a car for an hour, or so on. Of course, that's okay until we say you can't, because we're,
it's a form of control, isn't it?
Penalising you because of social credit. Oh, maybe you've had too many journeys, or your political opinions don't fit, or you've got COVID, so we're not going to even let you use the car or use your money, or blah blah blah.
Well, this is
micromanaging of. It's a rather dark micromanaging of society, which I think